This is the Bat Flip Podcast. Now here's your host, Damian, David, and Matt. Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the Bat Flip Podcast. Damian, Matt, and David here with you today. We're going to be buying or selling some starts to the season, some hot, some cold, some teams, and we'll see if they've lived up to what we expect and if we think they'll continue that throughout the season. We'll talk about why owners hate their own game. We'll talk about some injury news, and then we will get to our player of the day / player of the week votes that we've been doing every day over there on our Twitter / X page, whatever you prefer to call it. But before we get into all that, Matt, we missed you last week. So how you doing?
Pretty good. I got to fulfill a bucket list item last weekend. I went to the Final Four for basketball. Of course, my team got knocked out on Saturday, so that kind of sucked. But it was still a really cool event to go to. And I did get back before our show on Monday, but we rode all night in the car coming back, and yeah, that was not going to happen. I was basically snoozing all day Friday, so I even took off work. But yeah, it was fun, and been watching a little bit of baseball, getting caught up a little bit on it. I haven't watched quite as much as I typically do here early in the season, but my Braves are not doing great, but they're doing better than they were when they were 0 and whatever. So that's good. They beat the Phillies 2 out of 3 last week, and I feel good about them tonight because they're up 8-0. So, but yeah, so it's been a good couple of weeks. But David, how have you been this week?
Oh, I had a great weekend. I'll tell you what, had a wonderful weekend. But baseball wise, obviously, I think everything else is pretty good right now. We got some a sick family member around, so we're hoping for good results over there and comfort and whatnot. But yeah, everything else is pretty solid. How about you, Damian? How was?
I mean, I'm doing fine. My team didn't play the best this weekend. We'll talk about one of the games that I happened to be in attendance for. But overall, I mean, it's been a fine week. There's been a lot of fun baseball to watch. So the beginning of the year is always a lot of fun. You're trying to figure out who's real, who's not, who's a hot start, and who's, what if they're going to continue that or if they're not. So obviously, I think that leads to a good topic for us today because we have incredibly small sample sizes, but we get to make a fool of ourselves by calling some good players bad and some bad players good. So overall, though, I think it's been fine. I think we're looking forward. I think the Masters yesterday was incredible.
Oh yeah, that was
Masters
awesome.
Sunday was incredible. The way that Rory decides to choke everything and then somehow finally be able to pull it off this year was pretty fun. But that was a really thrilling thing to kind of take a little bit mind off because the Dodgers played late Sunday night. So I say late Sunday night, it was just later in the day. It was like 4:00, but gave you something to watch during the middle of the day.
It was 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock for normal people, Damian.
I mean, it's 4:00 is the best time. Like West Coast times are the best. What I could tell you, but
ain't nobody was watching that NASCAR race.
Oh, there was no chance.
I ruined that. Boy, if we did bat flip NASCAR, y'all would have some rants. Unfortunately,
listen,
you want to hear some Matt crash outs?
We can do bat flip NASCAR in a few months. They actually play at Bristol Motor Speedway, where the site of that race just was.
Let's go.
Very true.
So, anyways, I think it's a good segue. Let's talk about the buy sell part here. We started with teams. We'll get to some on. If you have different players that you want out or who you think you buy and sell, let us know in the comments as we'll throw it up here on screen. But our first one, we want to talk about the Anaheim Angels. And yes, I said Anaheim Angels because they are not in Los Angeles. Anyways. But also we need to mention Mike Trout because why not? I mean, whenever you get an opportunity, mention Mike Trout. So let's start with Matt. Are you buying and selling Mike Trout / the Angels start to the season?
I think I'm gonna sell it with the Angels in general. I'm gonna buy Mike Trout start. Mike Trout actually has cut his strikeout rate so far this year, and that's a very small sample size. He has a 132 BABIP so far this year, and he's still got a 125 WRC plus. He is playing offensively. He's playing like MVP Mike Trout did. Now defensively, moving to right field has taken a little bit of a toll on his defensive stats so far, but that's such a small sample size. It'll probably even out. He'll probably be fine there. So Mike Trout, I'm buying his start. Hopefully he stays healthy. That's really the big question with him. But everything else, I mean, it's been cool. Logan O'Hoppe was my breakout pick. I think he's had a great start to the season. Kyron Paris has been on fire to start the year. So I feel pretty good about the pick here. The Angels' offense so far. The thing that worries me is their pitching staff has a 5.18 FIP. They have an 11.5% walk rate right now. So I know that their ERA is not good either, but it's going to be hard to maintain a good season. In fact, right now, Nicky Lopez is their 5th most valuable pitcher. So
Let's
if you look at
go.
Fangraphs, so he's pitched in one game and he did not give up a run. So, anyways, I'm not. He threw a 1/3 of an inning. He got one out. So, but hey,
It's
he's
valuable.
yeah. But and I think Kikuchi will figure it out, and but this pitching staff needs help if they're gonna do anything. And but I mean, I like their start so far. I think they're better than we expected them to be. I just don't think they're gonna be like there at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Pretty
agree.
pretty simple. Yeah, I think the sell thing too. I mean, their run differential and not end of the world, but they're -3 obviously, and their expected win loss 7 and 8. So it's nice to see to begin the year, but I don't think they have enough depth to keep it up. So definitely a sell here. I think we just skip the next one because we don't really need to talk about that. Let's talk about the Chicago Cubs, David. Obviously,
Let's do it.
I think I know where you're leaning on this one. If you're going to buy or sell the start to their season,
It's funny. My opinion does not matter here in the slightest because I bought them originally anyway. I really felt like this was a playoff team. I still feel that way. They're gonna need to make some trades or have a pitching breakout, I think. And Ben Brown might be that guy. He was my honorable mention in our breakout picks, and he shut down the Dodgers this weekend. So, big fan of what's going on. The plate approach for the whole entire team, 1 to 9, is the best it's been since 2016. Collectively, it's a nightmare lineup to get through. Only one guy's been able to get through it. He's going to be on our player of the week poll in a little bit, but yeah, at least from the Dodgers perspective, but like it's been very difficult for other teams and other pitchers to like get a deep run into the game. The Cubs lineup the second time through just seems to shut teams down. So I'm absolutely buying the offense. I'm worried about the pitching, but I think we'll be okay despite losing Justin Steele for the season. So yeah, easy buy. I buy in every stock in everybody. Like it's such an awesome start. I'm really excited about it, but long way to go.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna sell on the Cubs, but I still think they're probably gonna make the playoffs. I don't think they're as good as they've played so far. I don't think Carson Kelly is gonna maintain a 315 WRC plus this year.
Nah,
He's already put up 1.2 WAR. And with the pitching, especially with Justin still being injured, that really is a big deal for them. Shota Imanaga's strikeout rate is way down so far too. Now Ben Brown's been good, but Matthew Boyd's their most valuable pitcher so far this year.
he's been really good too.
He's had a good start, but I don't know that I trust the Cubs. They're running a 20% strikeout rate as a pitching staff right now, which I think you probably got to be higher than that, and especially now that their best pitcher, arguably their best pitcher, is out for the season having elbow surgery. So I don't know that I trust them. But the Cubs are in a division where the Brewers are looking like their best competition so far. The Cardinals haven't been great. The Pirates have really faltered to start the season. Their pitching staff hasn't been able to carry them like we were thinking that was a possibility. But yeah, I mean, the Cubs will probably run away with this division, but I just don't buy them as a true contender for the World Series.
I will push back one teensy bit, and that's that you don't have to run a big strikeout rate when you have such good defense, especially up the middle when it comes to those guys. So they've built this team this right way, but it really would be nice to have another guy in there that gets a lot of whiffs,
Yeah.
Sell. I'm selling everything just because of what they did to me on Saturday. All right. I don't care. They deserve nothing but pain for making me sit there through a 16-0 blowout game. All right. But realistically, I think what Matt said is probably like how I kind of feel too. I feel like the Cubs are a good team. I think I picked them to do really well too. I can't see that because my computer lost its stuff. So I don't even know where I had them pick, where I had them to finish. I think second. I think behind the Reds, I believe. I could
You
be
had
wrong, though.
them winning the Central.
Oh, there we go. I think they're a good team. I don't think they are as good as they've been playing, if that makes any sense. Like Matt mentioned, Kyle Tucker, 203 WRC plus. Carson Kelly, 315
Yeah.
WRC plus.
Kyle Tucker might keep that up.
Kyle
But
I don't know
Tucker
about
might-
a 203.
Carson Kelly's not going
I don't know
to.
about a 203.
You
I
never
expect
know.
a little bit of regression.
He had a 180 last year.
Yeah, I mean,
I
he probably won't keep him
understand. He
203,
also-
but he won't be that far off
Listen,
of it.
Kyle Tucker also played like half a season last year. He missed like 3 months with a broken shin. Okay, like I don't think we expect anyone to run a 203 WRC plus through a full season. Like Michael Bush, I don't expect him to keep up a 180 for the full season. Like Seiya Suzuki,
Yeah, he's
164 is probably a little bit. Like there's obviously some positive progression here. Like Matt Shaw's at a 66, right? Ian Happ's at a 77. Dansby's at an 87. He's a little bit better than that, anyways. I think there's some give or take here and there, but I think they're just not as good as what they've been playing at the moment. Like I don't think they're the best offense in baseball level good for a full season. I still think they have a top 10 offense. I just don't think they're the best offense. So I expect a little bit of regression there. So I'm going to sell lightly as they're this good, but I'm still going to buy that they're a good team that can make the playoffs, win the Central, and maybe cause some issues in the playoffs. But they need another pitcher if they're going to do that with the loss of I said Snell with the loss of Steele.
He's out too.
He is. He threw today, but so that's where I'm at with the Cubs. So let's move over to the San Francisco Giants, who are just deciding to go full 2021 here again and have started the season 11-4. So, Matt, are you buying or selling the start for the Giants?
Yeah, I think I'm going to sell the start for the Giants. I think they're a pretty good team. I thought before the season they were a pretty decent team. I'm not a big believer in their offense right now. Willie Adames has been really bad so far this year, striking out a lot, and it just hasn't done much. He's been bad defensively too. That's been a problem. I don't know that. I mean, their team, they're roughly a league average batting team right now, and I don't think Wilmer Flores is going to keep this up. I don't think that Jung Hoo Lee is going to keep up a 215 WRC+. I do buy Jung Hoo Lee as being a much improved player and being a real guy this year, but he's not going to do this. And I don't know that these guys, I'm sure Adames will be better than he's been so far, but I'm not sure that a lot of the guys who have been worse than you would expect are going to be that much better this year. So I'm going to sell them. The pitching's been good. Logan Webb's been awesome. Cy Young pick. He's been awesome. Hayden Birdsong's been really good so far too. That's one that you like to see coming out of that bullpen. But I think this is a team that can really pitch, but I just don't think their bats are going to hold up all year. They're going to need some help at some point. So I'm going to sell their start.
I'm going to buy the start. I'm going to sell the aspirations, if that makes sense. I'm going to buy that this is a better team than we were giving them credit for earlier. That this start is indicative of a team that is being headed by Buster Posey. There's a lot of belief. There's a lot of enthusiasm in the room. I think we underestimated that collectively. I think that was kind of pushed down in terms for just the baseball talent. And then I'm gonna sell the Jung Hoo Lee start. I'm gonna buy that Jung Hoo Lee's a really good pitcher. I'm just worried that once the league gets a scouting book on him, he hasn't played that much. He basically went out for the year right at the beginning of the year last year, and that was going to be his rookie year. So he hasn't played that much. Like, I don't think anybody really knows what to expect. He was kind of expected to be a contact only guy. So I think he's getting a lot of pitches in the zone. Like, I think there's going to get to be a book and a weakness, and he's going to have to adjust. So there's going to be this transition period coming up. I'm going to sell this amazing start, but I am going to buy that the Giants as a whole are better than we thought. And I think that's a good spot for them to be in right now. They got some pieces. They can really move forward, but Buster Posey doing a really good job right now. I think they got some belief in that room.
Yeah, I'm going to sell their start. I think this is a team who has started off playing a hot stretch of baseball here. I think they're going to come back down to the means a little bit. I expected this team to be a team that was right around 500, a couple games over at the end of the season. They're 11-4 at this moment. I don't think in total that they're going to be able to withstand the grind of a season. Their pitching staff really worries me, and I don't trust their offense a ton. And depth wise, I don't think they have a lot of good depth pieces there to really keep up with it. So I'm selling their start. I think they're going to come back down to a about 500 level-ish team. I wouldn't be surprised 2 or 3 games in either direction, which isn't bad. It's just I don't think what they're playing like is sustainable for them at the moment. So let's talk about the Atlanta Braves now. And Matt, we've already had one crash out from you before a couple weeks ago on this podcast because of the Braves. But are you buying or selling the start of the season for them? Do you think this slump that they've been in is who they really are?
I do not think the slump is who they really are. Honestly, it's been a combination of still having some injuries from last year. Strider, he's coming back Wednesday. Acuna's coming back in a couple of weeks, it sounds like. Sean Murphy missed the start of the year, and he's been great since he came back. I think it's a combination of that and also a little bit of bad luck. The Braves are third in baseball in barrel rate right now. They're top 5 in hard hit rate. They are their plate discipline numbers aren't great, but they're not like crazy out of line for a team that's got those kind of barrel numbers. I think they've been pretty unlucky offensively. They've had a lot of barreled outs. That's been a big problem for them. I do think they've got a couple of big holes. Shortstop is still a hole, even though Nick Allen's actually been pretty good for them. Shortstop's a big hole, and then of course left field has been a black hole for 2 or 3 years now, and it continues with Jared Kelenick's been awful, and Profar is out. So Alex Verdugo, could he be an answer? We don't know. But, the Braves had a tough schedule to start the year. I said in our season preview of the Braves that they're going to have a rough first month, but then they will probably pick it up at some point. The one thing I really do worry about with the Braves is, the pitching staff also has been incredibly unlucky. They have a 367 xFIP and a 442 ERA. The thing that worries me about the Braves is the bullpen and the depth of the bullpen, and in combination with the manager not being a good bullpen manager. Because he's cost the Braves 2 or 3 games already with his bullpen management, and it's really bad. So I don't know if obviously I had my little meltdown a couple weeks ago about opening day, but there's been a couple other games in there that's been a problem. So we'll see. Hopefully, hopefully for my sake they play well, but get better, and but we'll see. But I think I'm gonna buy that the Braves are a good team that just had a bad start. I guess I'm selling their start. It's kind of a double negative there, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah. You mentioned the bullpen. Raisel Iglesias is the second or the 4th worst qualified reliever by pure WAR thus far. He's been almost worth -0.5 a win.
Yeah.
It's not been a great start for the closer of the Braves. It doesn't help that he probably hasn't pitched in the same save situations thus far in a lot of those outings. But I'm gonna sell the Braves start. It's just too early. You obviously want to bank wins, and that's something that the Giants and the Angels have been able to do. The Cubs have been able to do. The Braves haven't been able to do that, and that's a problem. If you're going to try and go wire to wire, if you're going to, if you're a team that's like at their biggest strength right now, but the Braves aren't. We've discussed it at length. This is a team that's still ascending. It's always been a team that's kind of a few pieces away, and they're on their way. They're on the roster already. It's like we just had to be patient. I don't think anybody expected a start like this. 4-11 is bad, but we're half a month in. There's a lot of time. You can definitely gain it back, but they probably need to start winning games now. And obviously they're up big today. Strider's coming back on Wednesday. Like the turn seems to be right around the corner. I feel pretty confident that the Braves are going to right the ship and at the very least be in the playoff hunt. I don't think any of us have. We said I felt like all the National League East contenders would all win around 90 games. I think we're still on pace for that, but Braves need to turn it around now, I would say, but now is when things are getting better.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Braves are going to be just fine at the end of the day. We mentioned that they didn't have a lot of their pieces, right? Like Sean Murphy just came back. He's played 5 games. They're going to get Ronald Acuna Jr. back soon. They thought they were going to have Profar. That obviously his suspension happened. But you look at Matt Olson, he's an 88 WRC plus this year. He's going to be better than what he has. Michael Harris, a 62 WRC plus to start the season. He's better than that too. They've had to have Chadwick Trump, Stuart Fairchild, Drake Baldwin play some. Obviously Baldwin's a prospect, but now they have Sean Murphy back, who's been tearing the cover off the ball. Kellenick's been really bad. There's obviously signs of what they can progress here. Now, a little bit worried because they are the 22nd ranked offense in baseball. Even if you get Ronald Acuna Jr. back and those guys progress a little bit, I feel like they need to have a better offense. They need to be top 10-ish, I feel like, especially with the lack of depth around the pitching staff at the moment, especially losing Reynaldo Lopez for the year. Strider's going to be on an innings limit at some point. We know that too. Chris Sale's not looked good to start the year either. So I feel like the Braves, they're going to be a better team than what they have. So I sell their start, but I am kind of skeptical if they're as good as what we have or was what we were predicting. And what I predicted, honestly, was I think I told them to win the division. I'm a little skeptical at the moment, given the slow starts we've seen. And I need to see those guys back here soon and playing well before we can really feel confident in what the Braves are this year. So let's talk about our last team real quick, and let's jump over to the Baltimore Orioles, who have started the year at 6-9. They are last place in the American League East as we film this. So, David, are you buying or selling that the Orioles are the worst team in the American League East?
Yeah, I'm buying that the Orioles are not. I'm not going to buy that they're the worst team in the American League East, but I'm going to buy that they're not a playoff team right now. This is a group that did not need the injuries they've gotten. They're still scoring runs well. They're well up in terms of runs scored per game. That's the top 15 offense, a top 13 offense right now. It's still headed by the right guys, but the pitching staff is so bad. And it's bad. It's down there with, some of the teams that we've talked about as having issues so far, like the Brewers, the Cardinals, the Angels, whom we've said with their pitching staff, they're kind of winning games in spite of their pitching staff. This Orioles team needed to go out and replace Corbin Burns, right? And bank for the potential of an injury to Grayson Rodriguez and some of those other guys. They haven't done that. They've got a bunch of prospects still sitting in the farm system, right? They sent Kobe Mayo to the minors, and the major league team is without pitching. And it's pretty tragic. I feel terrible for Orioles fans. It's disappointing. This is a team that I predicted to go to the playoffs. I feel like they should, but they just simply don't. They don't have the pitching. They're not going to have it. And unless Mike Elias gets fired or something, that's about the only thing I could think of that would actually change the trajectory of this organization mid-season, because I feel like they'll buy a small pitching piece with none of their top prospects and then they'll just move on. Yeah. So it's tough. I can't really predict them to do better. It's clear where the issues lie. I think the players themselves will be largely fine. Grayson will come back and they'll have a good team again, but they're not banking wins like we talked about. And if you're going to start off slow in the AL East, especially, you're going to be along for a very difficult ride. I think we saw that a couple of years ago with the Rays, last year with the Rays. They were a good team that had to sell at the deadline because they didn't get off to a good start.
Yeah, I'm with you, David. I don't trust this pitching staff at all. I think they're 24th in baseball in xFIP, which is a number that I look at pretty closely because it's probably normalizes before anything else does this time of year. They're not striking anybody out. I talked about the Cubs not having a high strikeout rate at 21%. The Orioles have a 19% strikeout rate as a pitching staff right now, and that's just not going to cut it, especially unless you're just walking nobody. And their walk rate's kind of league average. So this is a tough. It's been a tough start for them. Obviously Charlie Morton hasn't worked out for them. He was their big addition they made in the offseason. And I just don't believe in this pitching staff at all. And the offense feels a little bit they feel a little bit thin, honestly. Especially with the fact that Cedric Mullins and Ramon Urias have been your two best hitters this year other than Adley. that's a big deal. This Tyler O'Neill has been really good too, but like, you look at some of these guys. Colton Cowser hadn't gotten off to a good start at all. Gunnar Henderson, of course, has dealt with some injuries. You never know how long that kind of injury is gonna last. And
Yeah.
Jackson Holiday has had a horrible start again. Heston Kjerstad hasn't been good at all. Like some of these guys that they were going to rely on to be their depth haven't been good, and then of course their star and Gunnar Henderson hadn't been good yet either. So I think he'll figure it out. But like right now, this team is, you know, I don't know. This team to me this is a tough division, and it's going to be tough for them to overcome this start. And they're not that far behind right now, but I'm definitely going to sell that this team is as good as people thought it were.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell it, but I do think that there's more signs for positive feels here. Like Gunnar Henderson had been hurt, he just came back. Like he's not been good, but he just came back from injury.
Yeah.
Like Colton Cowser, he's only played 4 games. He got hurt, right? Like those guys, when they come back, those are 2 really good star players that have been like carrying their offense. Like Cowser was really big for their offense last year. Gunnar was obviously an MVP for the first 2 months of the season. Everyone thought he was going to be the AL MVP. Like, I think that you get those 2 back in the lineup, and it finally looks better than what it does. Obviously, the pitching staff is the real key. We've been talking about that since the offseason. Like Corbin Burns is gone, you need to make some move, right? We thought they were a prime trade candidate for any pitcher that was on the market. A Garrett Crochet, like they had to do it, and they weren't able to pull it off. Mike Elias is going to have to do something at this deadline to get some starting pitcher, or even beforehand. He's gonna have to jump the market. Maybe go get a Sandy or a Pablo Lopez or somebody before the market really to help save their season because of how bad some of these other pitchers have been for them. So I'm gonna sell with caution, if that makes any sense. Like I think this is a team that they can turn it around. They can become a playoff team again. But at the moment, I just don't see it unless they make some moves and get healthy fast. So, but let's jump over to talking about players now, and we'll run through these ones a little bit quicker. We don't got to go so in depth with each player, but let's start off with the Boston Red Sox, who Adam just hates us because we say how good they are, but they've pulled a fleece here, getting Wilyer Abreu for Christian Vasquez from the Astros for 2 months or whatever. Wilyer Abreu looks really good so far. So, David, are you buying that Wilyer Abreu is a very good player?
I'm selling Wilyer Abreu, unfortunately. I've made all my hay on the Red Sox from other guys and not Wilyer Abreu. I've almost never gone in on him. So my preference would be that it would be the guys I've been clambering about. But, in terms of, he's had a really good start. This is a good player, I think. But it's definitely not a player this good, right? This is an MVP caliber start by Wilyer Abreu. I think a little bit of it is going to be some BABIP luck. He's hitting the ball really hard. That you usually get better luck when you hit the ball hard. But I do think that, he's in for an adjustment phase here where the league's going to kind of try something different, figure him out a little bit, and that'll slow him down a little bit. So I'm going to sell this start, but good on the Red Sox for making the poaching of the Astros, because the Astros deserve nothing.
I'm gonna buy kinda the start. I think Wilyer Abreu's a really good player. I mean, last year he was really good. He had 3 WAR last year. Good defensively, had a 114 WRC plus. I think he probably is a little bit improved at the plate, but one thing to look at is he can't hit lefties, and he's only got 6 plate appearances against lefties so far this year. So that's something to look for if he ever wants to be like a superstar player, an all-star caliber, what like his start has been, he's going to have to start hitting against lefties more often. But so far he's been excellent, and I think he's a really good player. I think he's going to better his WAR total from last year, and he's going to be a big part of the Red Sox season. I just don't know that he's like a superstar type player like he's been so far.
Yeah, so David can attest to this. I've been on Wilyer Abreu since before the offseason. Really, during the offseason, I was talking to David a lot about Wilyer Abreu and how excited I was for him this year. He's lived up to it. Look at his Baseball Savant page. There's a lot of red, and there's a lot of bright red there. I think he's really forced the Red Sox hand here with trying to figure out what they're going to do with Roman Anthony. I think Abreu's kind of cemented himself as got to be one of the corner outfielders. So Anthony's going to have to either figure out center, or Jarren Duran has to figure out center, whatever they're going to do there. But I'm going to buy Wilyer Abreu so far. I don't think he's going to be a 195 WRC plus level good for the entire year,
No.
but I think you could definitely see someone who's in the 130 to 140-ish range of WRC plus there, and can hit maybe 20-ish homers, and play really good defense. He's got one of the strongest arms from the outfield that we'll see in baseball.
Right.
So I very much like Willie Abreu. I'm buying his start to the year, so I'm excited for that. So let's talk about another player I'm super excited about doing really good, and that is Tommy Edman. And I'm just going to buy that he is this caliber of player. I'm going to tell you right now. I think he's made some real good swing changes. I've saw his stance changes has made a lot of difference. The Dodgers put him in position to do a lot of things. They're one of the best teams at figuring out little things hitting wise and turning someone around. I think they've done that with Tommy Edman. So I'm buying that he is he's going to lead the league in home runs. Tommy Edman is, because he's tied for it right now, I think.
Yeah.
But Matt, what do you think?
I'm gonna buy that Tommy Edman is better than he ever has been. But he's not this good. He's not gonna lead the league in homers.
No.
But he's got his launch angle is the highest of his career. He's increased it by 6% over last year. And then he's also got a much higher hard hit rate so far this year. Now, I'm sure that number will probably come down some, and I'm sure his launch angle will probably normalize some too, but I think he has made some real changes that it's probably a little bit better than it ever has been. He's also been pretty unlucky, honestly, at the plate. He's got a 200 BABIP despite the hard hit rate increase. Now, part of that's going to be the launch angle increase too with the lower BABIP, but I think he's going to hit for less power, but his average is going to go up if he continues to perform like he's performed so far. So I do think that Tommy Edman has become a better player. I don't think that Tommy Edman is going to win the MVP or be like the best player in baseball or lead the league in home runs, but I think he's better than he has been, and he'll be a 115 WRC plus guy instead of a 100 WRC plus guy.
We need to sell. First of all, I'm selling this. Second of all, we should contract the Dodgers and send them to another league for this obvious cheating that's going on by them injecting Tommy Edman with steroids and getting him out, and then framing Jurickson Profar for the Tommy Edman drugs. This is obviously what's happening here, because there's no way. It is ridiculous. Half his homers are against the Cubs, of course, for Tommy Edman, and that's he only gets a few more games against the Cubs. So yeah, I'm selling the start. He's a Cubs merchant because he's got that Cardinals blood that is going to continue to permeate until that guy retires. And when he retires, I will hold a party because, oh my God, he is the most annoying dude to watch you play against your team and just slaughter him, of course. And then he goes around to the rest of the league and he's terrible. So yeah, selling Tommy Edman for sure. And you'll never hear me buying for him either. I hate that guy.
So real quick, we'll move on real quick. He has 6 homers, 9 singles, and 1 triple.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any doubles.
And 3 homers against the Cubs.
And his 1 triple was to first base.
Okay. Probably against the Cubs too. Jesus.
Probably. All right, so let's talk to our next player. Let's jump over to New York and talk about Ben Rice. Ben Rice is someone who had got a lot of fanfare over the last year, wanting him to come up, and he has looked pretty good so far this year. So, David, are you buying the start to the season for Ben Rice?
Not only am I buying the start to Ben Rice, but I called it. I was saying it in our Yankees preview episode that the Yankees needed somebody young to come in and help Aaron Judge out, and I was like, it's going to be Ben Rice. And you guys were like, I don't know. It's like it's going to be Ben Rice. It's Ben Rice. I'm on the Ben Rice train, 100%. Buy this start. Again, I don't think he's going to have a 200 WRC plus, but I do think he's going to be a very effective DH first baseman. He might even solve the Yankees' kind of perennial need at that spot. That's kind of been a revolving door for a little bit. So I think that this is a awesome thing. Young guy coming into his own, a little bit older, but those guys are a little more mature. They're ready fast, and I feel good about Ben Rice getting there. So buy for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy as well. I think he's a little bit like Willie Abreu, where the splits are going to be important. He's really hitting right-handed pitching a lot better than left-handed pitching.
Yeah.
So if he runs into more left-handed pitching at later in the season, I think that could be a problem for him. But I mean, I really like what he's done so far. I mean, the play discipline has been really good throughout his minor league career, and that's something that's continued at the big league level. And he's hitting the ball hard. And in Yankee Stadium, if you're a left-handed hitter and you're hitting the ball hard, you're going to hit some home runs too. So I think Ben Rice has been excellent for them. I believe he has hit a home run tonight as well.
Yes. Yep.
So he's after a great start, 5 home runs already. I think he's going to be one of those guys that the Yankees need these depth guys every year, and they haven't gotten them, and he could be the guy this year.
Yeah, I'm going to buy Ben Rice. And the fact is if you look at his Baseball Savant page, it actually says that he's been kind of unlucky given what he's done so far this year. He has a 286 batting average. His expected batting average is 323. He has a 612 slugging. His expected slugging, 743. His expected WOBA is 486, and his actual WOBA is 449. Like the advanced statistics say he's actually been better than the numbers show, and he's been incredible. Has over 1,000 OPS. So I'm going to buy Ben Rice. Obviously, I don't think he's going to be this level of player, but I think he's going to turn into a very good player for the Yankees, and he'll be an everyday person into that lineup against righties at least moving forward. But let's move over to someone who I talked about on our breakout picks episode. That watch for this guy to be a breakout pick.
You did.
And that is Jonathan Aranda. And he has done everything to back it up this year. So far, he's batting 400, 1,100 OPS. The advanced numbers look pretty decent there as well. Obviously, he's a platoon bat as well. But I'm buying Jonathan Aranda's start to the year. What about you, David?
Buy. Yeah. And it's really just because Damian freaking nailed this pick in our breakout episode. Like I felt strongly about it. And to see this start, like, yeah, buying instantly. I feel like the Rays have really nailed his development perfectly, and they've brought him up right when he can compete at the highest level, and they're optimizing his matchups, obviously, but like that's fine.
Yeah, I'm going to buy as well. As David mentioned, the optimizing the matchups thing is big with him. He's probably only going to play 110-ish games because he's such a platoon guy. But the way that he's played when he's in there, like he's going to have a great year. He's projected right now by Zips for a 130 WRC plus on the season, which is excellent. So I really like his start. He has been pretty lucky, a 464 batting average on balls in play. But even if that comes down a bit, I think he'll probably hit some more home runs than he has so far too. So it'll even out a little bit. And I really like this start from him. And I think he's going to be a guy that, that really helps the Rays. This is a total Rays move right here.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So let's talk about some cold people now, if we're going to buy or sell this. And we'll start with Dylan Cruz, who has had a horrendous start to the year. His batting 111, has a 260 OPS. A 260 OPS as we speak right now. Matt, I know you've talked about how you didn't think Dylan Cruz was going to be as good as his prospect pedigree was. And are you buying or selling Cruz so far?
I'm buying his start that he's not very good right now. I mean, he probably needs some more development time. I know there's been swing concerns with him from coming out of college that worry about him having problems with breaking balls at the big league level. And he's got a 37% strikeout rate. He has a 109 slugging percentage right now. It's bad. And, the other thing too, he's not played good defense at all, despite his pedigree as a guy people are expecting to play really good defense that raises his floor up. So he's really been a problem for the Nationals, and they're going to have to send him to AAA and figure this out, because I don't think it's going to happen if he just stays in the big leagues.
I have to buy the start. And he was my biggest, rookie of the year. He was my rookie of the year pick, right? Like I felt pretty good about it. He has not been good. I feel it's disappointing. I would much rather be excited about him like I was with Ben Rice. It's not the start you want, but again, this is something we've seen. Young guys, first trip to the majors, they have to go down and make some swing adjustments. Happens to a lot of guys. It's not career ending or anything, but I'm going to buy this start that he's going to need to go back to the minors, figure some stuff out, and reset.
Yeah, I just watched the Dodgers played the Nationals this past Monday, a week ago from today, and Cruz really just did look out of sorts. I think part of also his defensive struggles is they're playing him in center field for some reason. I don't know why. He's profiles as a corner for outfielder. I guess they don't want to play Alex Call in right field. I mean, They have a really good defensive center fielder in Jared Young. You might as well just let him play. But I do think Cruz needs some more seasoning. I think at the end of the day, I think he can turn into a good big leaguer. I just don't think he's ready for it yet. Even his minor league numbers, it showed concern. I think they tried to rush it, thinking maybe you had to see the prospect satisfaction come out of it. And I just don't think it was quite ready for that yet. So I'm going to sell his start that he's this bad, but I do think he needs more time. So let's talk about Wilson Contreras now, who is off to a horrendous start as well. David, I know you love Wilson Contreras. So are you buying that Wilson Contreras is like one of the worst players in baseball?
No, I gotta sell it. Wilson has these stretches. As much as I want to go ahead and hate on the guy, he's not this bad. He's pretty good, but I would wager that a lot of it is preparation based. Right, he's still settling into a new position. He's effectively not catching anymore, and that is changing the way he's preparing for games. It's changing the way he's performing during the game. I got to sell the start. I think he'll get back to it. He's also a very streaky hitter, right? So some weeks he'll just carry your whole offense. Some weeks he'll go over 20. And this is one of those, he's got 2 weeks under his belt right now. He's just had 2 of those over 20 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna buy that Wilson Contreras is not as good as he has been. I do think he's way better than he's played so far. I think he's probably more in that 110 WRC plus category this year, back to what he was when his last couple of years. Well, 2020, 21 era with the Cubs. His last year with the Cubs was really good, but I think he's going to be more in that range. And now that he's a first baseman and instead of a catcher, I think that really is going to hurt his value because that's a below average first baseman, if we're being honest. And, as a catcher, if you're putting up a 110 WRC plus, you're one of the best hitting catchers in the game. But as a first baseman, you're way below average. So he has played first baseman at a fine level so far. But I'll be surprised if he puts up anything, above like a 1.5 WAR season this year. And that's a big drop off from what he has been in his career. So I'm going to buy Wilson Contreras' bad start.
I'm going to sell that he's this level player. I think he's someone who the last 2 years has had over an 800 OPS. He has a 460 at this moment. And one interesting thing looking at his stats, which is kind of weird that it's parlayed to a bad start, but his launch angle sweet spot percentage is actually 11% higher than it's been in his career. He's at 44% for his career is 33.2. He's at 44.4% this year. So it's kind of weird that like he's getting to this launch angle sweet spot more than he has been ever, and it's actually hurting his stats. So I think he needs the angle's not too much terrible. It's only an 11 degree, which is about his career is 12.2 or 12.3. But I just think he's getting to that sweet spot a little bit too much, actually, which is kind of funny. So I think there's clear signs of that. Like he's not going to be this bad. I'm going to sell the start. I think he ends up being somewhere around the 115 to 120-ish WRC plus range. I think the everyday not catching is going to help him be a little bit more productive in that. And I think it's just settling in. Like we've seen this, that people have struggled to get to a new position and settle in. I think they'll be fine. Adam clearly does not agree with us here. There, he agrees with Matt. But let's move on to talking about Corbin Burnes, the big free agent signing for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he has had a rough start to his Arizona tenure so far. So, Matt, are you buying that Corbin Burnes in this bad start for him?
And he's not this bad. I'm going to sell it. He's got a long track record of being good, and I hope that he's healthy. His velocity's down a little bit, but I think it probably has a lot to do with just being with a new team and learning the new ballpark and just there's a lot of pressure on that. So I think he's going to be fine. But I am a little concerned. Last year there was a lot of talk about his stuff maybe falling off a little bit, even though he had a great year last year. And this year his velocity's down just a tick more. And I don't know. I'm a little worried about him, but I think he's going to be fine.
So yeah, he'd be fine. It's Arizona. Arizona is one of the better hitters.
It's a tough park to pitch in.
Yeah. The one thing that I do want to point out that I'm a little bit worried about is his walk rate is up over 5 per 9 this year.
That's where like I'm not super worried about that because his track record is he doesn't ever walk
Yep.
anybody. So I think that's an
Mhm.
add. I don't think he's just going to double it, but he might. I mean, you might be right. I
Yeah,
just don't.
I don't think he's gonna. I don't think it stays at 5, but I am a little
Yeah.
bit worried that like we need to see it come back down. Basically,
Yeah,
3
I agree.
full walks per 9 is his career
I
average.
agree.
So that's what I'm a little bit worried about. Obviously, I think Baltimore is going to play a little bit, or not Baltimore. Arizona's going to play a little bit more hitter friendly than Baltimore was, although he did have time in Milwaukee too. But he's given up, more homers per 9 so far this year than he has any year in his career as well. So there's signs that like maybe he's not as good, but I don't think he's this bad. So I'm gonna kind of buy the bad start, but not as bad. It's kind of weird. I'm in the middle. Let's talk about. I put him down here. He should have been up higher, but let's talk about the last person who has a good start so far, and that is Jesus Luzardo with the Philadelphia Phillies. I think David and I have both talked about for a while that we thought our team should trade for him from the Marlins because he was going to be really good when he got healthy, and now he's there. So David, I'm assuming you're buying Jesus Luzardo's back.
I'm buying it. I kind of felt like this was going to happen. As long as he stays healthy, I'm buying it. That's the big kicker, right? It's been the big kicker for his whole career. Is when this guy's healthy, he's nasty. He's really, really good when he's locked in on his command and stuff. And what better team to work with than the Phillies? Guys who pulled Zach Wheeler, the ace, out. They've developed and continued to work with Aaron Nola his whole career. Like what a great, Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez. Like they have pulled great pitchers out of, good mechanics and good stuff for years now. It's an underrated part of their development. Luzardo go in there. It's match made in heaven. What a great trade by the Phillies. Super smart. Buy, and I sure wish the Cubs had did that.
Yeah. I mean, I buy his start that he's really good. I mean, he's been good every time he's been healthy ever since he got traded from the A's to the Marlins. The thing that concerns me with him is just the fact that he's only had one healthy season in his entire career.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason that I was down on the trade, not because I don't think Jesus Luzardo is incredibly talented and really good when he's healthy. It's the fact that is he going to be there all year?
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to buy that he's really good.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it, and simply because of the fact that first off, I had to face him, so the stuff looks disgusting so far. But second off, the Phillies gave him or had him add a sweeper so far this year, and that sweeper has been disgusting. It is his second most used pitch at this point. He's thrown it 25% of the time. It has a 133 batting average against, a 142 expected batting average against, a 200 slugging percentage against, 250 expected slugging, weighted on base of 145, and an expected weighted on base of 166. He is getting 45% whiff on that pitch alone. That pitch is disgusting. That is the pitch that he needed to complete his arsenal with the four seam, which is so good already. The changeup, the slider, and then having the sinker that breaks the other way. Like it completed the repertoire for Jesus Luzardo, and it is absolutely nasty when it is on. So I'm buying that Jesus Luzardo is back, and I'm buying that he is one of the best pitchers again because of that sweeper alone. It's just nasty. And really the sweeper, the slider, and the changeup are all kind of really close mile per hour ranges, and they all tunnel really well together. It's hard. You just can't do anything with it. So I'm going to buy Jesus Luzardo. So that's going to end our buy or sell part of it here. So we're going to go on a quick rant real quick about how the owners in baseball just hate their own sport, basically. And if you don't know what we're talking about, a couple weeks ago, Dick Monfort, who is the owner of the Colorado Rockies, basically came out and said, who's notorious for being cheap and having a poor ran organization, basically came out and said, like, we need a salary cap because we can't compete with teams the way they're doing this, and especially named the Dodgers, of course, right? Now, other owners are coming out anonymously because Dick Monfort got so much crap for it, basically saying that, like, hey, in this CBA, like, we're going to push for a salary cap as well because we just think this is completely unfair and we can't do anything about it. And we absolutely know that's going to create another bargaining agreement war. We're going to have a lockout at this point if they push for it because players will never stand for it, given the way that it's what it's going to do to contracts. This is asinine completely to me that you own a sport, you own a team in a sport that has had this for so long. It has the most parity out of any of those big sports in America. Salary caps have shown nothing but make sports worse in general. The baseball world, you don't have to have a high payroll to be competitive with it, and yet you're still going to be here and cry and claim poor when you don't even want to spend. I mean, the Rockies went like what 2 off seasons ago, didn't even sign one free agent at all.
Yeah.
They don't do anything to make their team better. They're built in complacency, and all these other anonymous owners are just scared that their fans are going to call them out for the same damn thing.
They are.
Yeah, I mean, I think the crazy thing to me is that we know there's not going to be a salary cap because the players are never going to go for it. So we're going to have 1994 again because I mean they're not going to go for the salary cap. It's just not going to happen. That has been the sticking point for the players. I mean, there are arguments out there that if you have a salary cap with a really high spending floor, that it could even itself out where some of the teams that are spending just way more money than anybody else spend a little bit less, but the teams, there's a higher floor, so a lot of those teams are spending more money. So that's something that maybe would be okay for baseball, but like at the end of the day, it's just not going to happen. So I don't know why these owners are talking about it, why they want to. I mean, I guess it's a bargaining chip where they might be able to say, well, we'll get off of this for something else. But it's like, I mean, it's just not going to happen. So at the end of the day, like, why ask for it?
And even the salary floor, like if your owners aren't willing to spend $150 million right now, like the salary floor is not going to really do much for it. Like it's going to try and push them. They're going to go against such a high floor because they aren't willing to do it anyways, because they're going to say they don't make money. We know every single owner makes money. It doesn't matter. Like trying to, like everyone says, oh, well, a high floor. The owners won't go for a high floor. That's the problem. And they want a low cap, and it's just not going to work.
And even a salary floor doesn't work, right? Because a salary floor won't incentivize the teams that don't spend very much to spend. It'll just incentivize the teams that don't spend very much to spend more on the good players, right? The whole point of the players union is to make it fair for all of the group of players, right? You have your players who are under team control. You have the players who are like, the middle market players, the middle relievers, the back end starters. Like those guys get multiple millions of dollars right now because it's a free market and teams need their services at different rates. And what we see also is that teams collude against players and all offer them the same deals, right? Like Anthony Rizzo and Lance Lynn are not in baseball right now, despite being skilled baseball players, because all the teams are not offering them market rate, and they're older, right? They're older.
I think Lance Lynn's been cut from like 4 different teams.
They're older.
David's take should immediately go away because he said talented baseball player and Lance Lynn in the same sentence.
Yeah. That's fair. He had a 3-something ERA last year, but like, but you're telling me like the Baltimore Orioles couldn't use a Lance Lynn right now? Like, I mean, at the very least, somebody throwing for him, or the Rockies, right? Like, either way, right? At the end of the day, the middle market would get just crushed by the floor, or by a salary cap. It would get crushed. Those players would get nothing. You'd see Anthony Rizzo's and Lance Lynn's out of like talented players hitting free agency for the first time, right? And then you'd see a lot more extensions, team-friendly extensions, and the players are now giving up a lot of money-making power and a lot of all that stuff. And it's such a big concession that trickles all the way down that the players' union can never go for it. They will never go for it.
Nope.
So that's literally going to kill baseball in 2027. All momentum that it has, because I think it's going up right now. I think in general, we're seeing a very big renaissance of baseball. We have superstars, which it's annoying. People are, annoyed about the Shohei thing. It's pretty dang annoying watching the Cubs game. And then it's like, well, Shohei get a home run in the next at bat. Like, it's like, come on now. Like, we got a game going on. Like, that's an ESPN problem. But you got superstars, right? We've got this big wave of momentum that baseball is really getting good. And we've got, a lot of talk. It's in the news, right? The torpedo bat thing was in the news, and a lot of stuff is going and generating, and the baseball's really made well for like the vertical TikTok content. A lot of kids are involved in it right now. Like it's a big wave of momentum. Baseball is going in the right direction. And what we're seeing is if baseball gets kicked off and stopped and locked out for 2027, which it will, if this is going to be the case, then we are going to lose all that momentum, all that trust that's being built up, and it's going to result in a massive loss for these baseball teams and owners and everyone. It's going to be much worse than if they simply retain the status quo and continue to pay these superstars what they're worth, because Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto and Aaron Judge wouldn't be these big superstars if they didn't get the huge contract.
Yeah, it's sad that we're a year and a half or 2 years out from this, and we already know that the lockout's happening because of owners. Just the fact that they don't want to move off of this at the moment, and they're going to feel like, hey, this is a big bargaining chip for them because they know the players are never going to go for it, so they're willing to put it into that point because they're going to ask for something remarkably stupid on the other side to say, like, well, you're not willing to give us this, so if you're not moving off of that, then we're not moving off of this. Who's going to be the first to budge? And it's unfortunately it's going to have to be the players because that's just the way it is, and the players don't get paid and all this stuff. But it's remarkably stupid that we're at this point right now.
Well, I'll tell you one other thing about this. I don't think the owners are going to be unified on this, or at least on how it would work. I don't think it's going to be a unifying issue because there's some owners that have a big advantage right now because they have more money, because they're spending more money and they don't want to lose that advantage. So, I mean, I don't think the owners are all going to be on board with this. And I think that the players are obviously all going to not be on board with this. I think this will end up getting dropped. We got a long time before the potential lockout would happen. I think this specific part of it will get resolved. I don't know that we're not going to have a lockout because there's a lot of things that have to get resolved. But I don't think this one's going to stick for the whole entire time.
I think this does cause a lockout, though. Like, I don't think at the end of the day, I think it ends up being a non-issue. But the problem is I think there's enough owners. Like, there's going to be maybe 5, maybe 6 owners that say, hey, we don't really care for that. Like, we agree the way it is right now is just fine. And then you're going to have the other ones who just want to bitch and complain about it because they're that way, right? Like, we have what market is the Cubs? They're the 5th or 6th biggest market team technically in the league. Yeah. And that owner right there, who has all of the real estate around that park, is claiming that, hey, we break even. We try to break even here. If you have that owner talking about that right there, at the end of the day, all your other owners in a smaller market are going to say the same thing. The only owners that aren't going to be the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets, that from there, maybe Boston, but even Boston's cried poor at times. Like, there's so many owners here that, like, I feel are just going to fall into this thing because they think what they're doing right now is bad for baseball, and it's really not. And I just wish that if they were focused more on being that competitive team on their end and doing what they could to maximize on their field and their team, it would work out. It doesn't matter if let's say a team put $150 to $200 million on it in a payroll, which they all could easily do. They could compete with the Dodgers. What are the Cubs payroll at?
Oh, it's high. The Cubs run a high payroll. They do run a high payroll. It's like 200. It's 200. Yeah, it's 25. It's top 5. Cubs are a bad example. It's if you took the Pirates and gave them a couple of players and not Juan Soto, right? We're not saying the Pirates need to be signing Juan Soto. The Pirates, if you took Alex Bregman, for example, and had the Pirates give him a 6-year deal worth $30 million a year instead of the 4-year deal that he got, right? So get Alex Bregman 6 years, $180 million on the Pirates. That kicks the Pirates team salary up. It's like $75 million then. Like they wouldn't be paying
$75 million, which is so crazy.
And that's with Alex Bregman. Like they aren't paying anything. We've been clamoring for the Pirates, the Brewers, the Rockies, like the Orioles to go out and get out of your comfort zone and spend, because if you do that, then something good will happen. These owners are going to make like 2, 3, 4, 5, 10x on when they sell these teams, right? When these guys purchase these teams, they purchase them in the millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. They're going to be selling them in the multiple billions. The overall money making comes at the end, after you've won World Series, after you've made playoff pushes, after you've generated huge branding, right? Like the Dodgers have gone in and they've spent a lot of money, but they're generated such a huge brand. They've generated such a huge organization because they've invested in the players. They've invested in the stadium. They've invested in the fans. And now they've got a gigantic fan base. They've got a gigantic group. Like, it's one of those things where this is what I want the Cubs to do, but this is what every team should be hunting. Right? The Pirates should be embracing Paul Skeens, trying to go on a playoff run with Paul Skeens, working their damnedest to put together a team behind him that's going to go out and win a World Series, because that'll generate a brand. The Pirates already have a great stadium. They have a great logo. They have a lot of really good stuff. They have a terrible owner. And that's going to hold them back unless the owner goes, I'm going to spend a little money. I'm going to lose some money on the front end. I'm going to lose some money. But then we're going to go out and win a World Series. We're going to have Paul Skeens, one of the best pitchers on the planet, and we're going to be all of a sudden this huge brand. Like, the Pirates are such a blueprint of a team that's, I mean, you could get in there and it could be an amazing team. and it would suck because I mean they would be stomping on the Cubs. But like that's a perfect example, and they're gonna call cry poor every time.
And here's the thing. I guess my argument is here as well, and I'm agreeing with you, but you don't need a high payroll to win. The Tampa Bay Rays have consistently been a contender every single year while running a lowish payroll. Like you can spend more than them and even be good. You can spend more than them and be bad. But like at the end of the day, you still need to invest and put better talent on the field. And they just half the owners aren't doing that at this moment.
Yeah.
So anyways, I think we had a good little rant there. I think that was we'll definitely have more about this because it's going to be an issue that continues to come up. But real quick, let's talk about some injury news that we had happen this week. And I'm just going to kind of list off the players that have either gone out or going to be making their returns soon. You guys can pick one or so of each and just kind of mention it. But just this week alone, we've lost Zach Eflin, Justin Steele for the year, Wyatt Langford, Pablo Lopez, Jackson Merrill, Jake Cronenworth. Just today, Chris Bryant went on the IL. We've also lost Andrew Benintendi. And then Matt mentioned it a little bit earlier, but Spencer Strider makes his return on Wednesday back from his elbow surgery. But Matt, anyone there you want to highlight?
Yeah, I didn't keep up with Jackson Merrill's exact injury, but that's a big one if he's out for a decent amount of time because the Padres are already pretty thin in the outfield. And he's one of their best players. So losing him is a big deal for a team that's really contending. Obviously, we talked about Justin Steele a little bit. Wyatt Langford was off to a really good start. Sucks to see him go down. Eflin, we talked about the Orioles' offense being bad. I think those are some pretty important ones. And then obviously Spencer Strider coming back is a huge deal for the Braves. And I guess we can add Ronald Acuna Jr. to the list a little bit. He is in LA seeing his doctor, potentially getting cleared to go on a rehab assignment today. So we'll see if that news ends up coming out. But that's the thought, is that he's going to be cleared to start a rehab assignment and be back in a couple weeks. So that would be excellent news for the Braves. But yeah, sucks to see so many injuries here, but it's part of the game, especially this time of year.
My pick for the injury choice is Chris Bryant, and it is lumbar degenerative disc disease, which sounds awful to deal with, man. And I'll tell you what, there was no Chris Bryant before he got hit in the helmet by the Rockies, by the way, was my favorite player to watch for his entire tenure there. And he was still my favorite up until he got traded. The Cubs have DFA'd both of the players they received for Chris Bryant. So it's a net negative. But it feels like it might close the door in his career. Cause like, I don't know how you play baseball he had a very violent swing, big uppercut swing, definitely a lot of back influence. If you got degenerative lumbar stuff, like I don't know how you can even do anything.
This feels like Strasburg all over again.
Yeah. It stinks, man. I really do feel like he would have been productive for the Rockies if he could have ever stayed healthy. But it's really clear that this has kind of been the source of the problem for him, is the back. And yeah, it stinks, dude. He was on a Hall of Fame pace for the first 4 or 5 years of his career, and it's falling off a cliff, and I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, it really sucks. I don't think there was a person out there that really hated Chris Bryant. Like, he was such a good guy, such a good player. Like, there was so fun to watch in those Cubs years, the Brizzo years. Like, that was so fun. I hated that he went to Colorado because I was like, man, I don't want him to terrorize my team, and I don't want him to be on a bad team. And then he's just dealt with this nonstop ever since, which Colorado's not the easiest place to deal with injuries anyways. So we have a request here for you, David.
They're in the other room, but yeah, Chris Bryant signed some shoes. I won't want to give away back in, it was like 2014 or 2015. So pretty cool. I've had this for a long time, but
I would say mine is Justin Steele. Losing him for the year he dealt with some elbow stuff last year, elbow tendonitis stuff late in the year. Came back in, seemed healthy, was kind of dealing with it again out of his best start out of the year so far.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, out of nowhere, hey, he's dealing with this again. Doesn't seem to be a big issue. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, he's out for the year. Like, he needs to get elbow surgery. And that it really sucks because he's one of the most consistent and better pitchers when he's healthy. The Cubs really needed him because of their lack of depth in the rotation. they traded Cody Bellinger away so they could use that money on Colin Rea to make the starting rotation be really good. But that needed Justin Steele in it, and he obviously is not there anymore. So I think that's a massive, massive blow. And like we mentioned before, when we were talking about the Cubs, they need to do something and maybe jump the market for a pitcher if they want to be serious about being a contender this year. So that's going to be interesting to see, but it really sucks to lose Justin Steele for the year.
It does.
All right, so let's jump to talking about player of the day and pick our player of the week here to wrap this show up. So David, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
All right. April 7th, player of the day, voted by you, the fans. We do our vote on our Twitter/X. It's right below my head right here. Please do follow the account, but especially make sure you vote on these polls every day. I retweet them on my account. Damian retweets it on his account. So make sure you follow, make sure you vote on the polls, because then you'll know who wins those days. But April 7th was Tyler Soderstrom from the A's, picked up a 2-home run day. Easton Lucas picked up the 8th, which he got shelled today by the Braves. So that's kind of hilarious. He probably won't win our player of the week, but he did win player of the day on April 8th. Kyron Paris of the Angels won April 9th. I think that was the All Angels Day, or it might actually, I think it was the day after this. I think April 10th, where Mike Trout won player of the day, was the All Angels Day.
Yeah.
And then it was all Cubs Dodgers the rest of the way. Yoshinobu Yamamoto won Friday, April 11th with a dominant start against the Cubs, 2 hits against the league's best offense. Pretty solid one there. Carson Kelly picked up his 2nd player of the day with that 2-home run, 3-for-3 performance against the Dodgers in the 16-0 drubbing. And then Picro Armstrong won yesterday's with 2 homers and a triple against the Dodgers over Michael King's complete game shutout and Jung Hoo Lee's 2-home run performance. So of those guys, Matt, who would be your pick for player of the week?
You said Jung Hoo Lee won, right?
I said Mike PCA won.
PCA won.
Picro Armstrong.
Dang.
Yep.
Because I don't want to pick him.
I think the pick is quite obvious.
Yeah. Well, then you pick.
Oh, I think it's Mike Trout. I think give Mike Trout player of the week. We got Mike Trout.
Can I just give it to all the Angels for that one day?
Yeah, that.
I think you know what? My player of the week is all the Angels. Good for them.
Yeah, they've had a really good start.
Good start.
I was going to pick Mike Trout. Obviously, I've got a couple of Cubs. Carson Kelly's won 2 player of the days, but in separate weeks, and he didn't play really any other game this week. So, I'm sitting on Mike Trout. I think it's got to be Trout. You know, if we can give an award to Trout, I think we're going to do it.
Let's do it, Mike Trout.
Yeah. Yep, I think Mike Trout's a pretty good pick. So we'll go with Mike Trout.
There you go.
So there it is. So our players of the week so far have been Aaron Judge, Jose Ramirez, and Mike Trout, just like we all expected.
We'll probably pick the more likely candidate to have a big game, I think, in terms of these players of the week. But I'm waiting for the week where we get like 7 nobodies, and then we're going to have to put somebody weird on that player of the week. That's going to be really fun. But I'm having fun with these polls. It's giving me a good idea of who's having a really good season. Couple of names that we just haven't gotten to really on these polls that like have been on there but haven't won. Nick Pavetta's been on twice, hasn't won. Cole Reagans has been either on the poll or on the honorable mention in every single one of his starts. So has Hunter Green. The 2 of them have been incredible this season to start, Hunter Green and Cole Reagans. So just throwing some of those guys on there, and
Michael King too, I think.
Yeah, Michael King's been on 2 polls. Yeah, so there you go, bunch of starters. I think the votes tend to lean offense. As what I'm seeing.
That's something I've noticed too.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like pitching's undervalued almost. But anyways, that will wrap up our show today. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you guys back here next week with a podcast, and probably midweek with another episode or show or something, a video that we haven't come up with yet. So, all righty, thank you guys, and we'll catch you back later.